I'm ready.
Word, word. All right, peace family. We live right here with the one-on-one weekly session, real talk with New Order. Uh, Substituting right now for the National Chief Strategist, Fidel, here with an amazing commitment to holistic health and transformational thought and action. Okay, so we about to get busy with our
Yeah,
brother from MI, crooked letter I,
right.
crooked letter I,
For sure.
humpback I in the
For
building. You
sure. For
understand
sure.
what
For
I'm
sure.
saying? The form running, man. Welcome to the platform, brother. How you feeling today?
Hey, man, I'm feeling great, man. Glad to be here, man. Glad to be a part of this, man. You're doing a lot of good things out there for the community. Getting a lot of people who are very knowledgeable about a lot of different things to help, people in a lot of different aspects in this thing, man. And it's a crazy time, and we got to be diligent. We got to we got to deal with each other in a different manner, in a loving manner, an uplifting manner, because we already got so much working against us. We don't need to continue to compound what's working against us at this time. I know for sure, but it should have. It's a long time coming, and we just got to continue to push that. Push that upliftment, be better for each other, and move forward.
Word. So you mentioned before we went on that you
Mhm.
from a place called Philadelphia, Mississippi. You
That's
understand what I'm saying? Like people only know one
right.
Philadelphia, so I'm pretty sure.
You know what's so crazy? Now, this is the crazy part, right?
Break it
Philadelphia,
down. Break it down.
Mississippi, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania are considered brother sister cities. See,
Wow.
when I was growing up, we used to always do this youth program where they take 1 year they take students from PA and bring them to Mississippi and show them the rich history and how things were. And the next year they would take students from Mississippi and take them to PA. So it was like a program where they had what they call Philly to Philly, big old celebration when people come down, and then they'll have a big celebration. We stay up at Temple University and stay there for a couple of weeks, and it was just this big old thing, bro. It was great. It was great. But of course, when changing of the guard, Mayor Good, and all that stuff that happened up there, think these programs start to fall out. So we didn't, I think we only did it for maybe 5 or 6 years, but the relationships between the black community leaders, it continued to foster after that. So it's a good thing, bro. It was a cool thing, bro. I wish we could have programs where you can introduce children to different aspects of life without them having to see it on the internet all the time. See, the
No,
thing
that's
about
real.
us, in order for us to build and be legit with each other, we would have to bump into each other, or we would have to be introduced to somebody. So back in the day, you really didn't have nobody that was just complete stranger that you was building with. So the integrity of a lot of people wasn't as shaky as it is now. You know what I'm saying? Because you actually had to look the person in the eye all the time. It's easy to text, but when you got to bump into them on the streets all the time and build, and because people are energy, and if that energy not right, you can tell when the energy not right with your people, especially when you connect like that. You can tell when something not right. And now through technology, that's becoming like a crutch. It becomes harder to judge people, and then you just have to take people for face value. You don't have no warming aspect. You don't have this. It's just something about Buddy. You know what I'm saying? That's interesting. But and that's what technology has done.
That's real. Definitely. I'm from Jersey, so every summer it's like an experience. You know what I'm saying? Hey, once in a while you might get a chance to go down south. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
and see how your brothers and sisters are living. You know, we could be living in the same place, you know, whether it's the city or the country, but we got different experiences. So the actualization of that, you know, you might be down south, you see a brother or sister, you say, good morning, how you doing? What's going on? How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then where I'm from, ain't none of that. You understand what I'm saying? Ain't none of that. And the environment reflects that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, from one Philly to another Philly, like that Philly to Philly, it's a different situation. You see what I'm saying? Like knowing how to swim, knowing how to hunt, knowing how to fish. You understand what I'm saying? Versus being hunted, and you know what I'm saying, and your body being fished out of the water. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so that mind frame is something different. It's like, you know, like y'all about to eat that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, yo, where the burgers at? Like, so like that cultural shift is so beautiful. It's you know, it gets you multifaceted. You see what I'm saying? So you know, like you said, you can meet somebody and know the vibe not right. You know what I'm saying? Like Philly, that's a place of the lie detector. You understand what I'm saying? Like, nah, the boy talking too fast. You understand what I'm saying? Like you already know. So it's like, all right, it's that synergy that's there, but it's speaking to too many aspects. You know, so somebody comes from up north and they thinking they're about to come to Mississippi, like, oh yeah, I'm about to do blah 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 blah. But nah, man, we know about y'all cats from up north. You understand? So
crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of people from up north come down there to visit, and you know, they get a understanding of just how crazy the United States still is. Like a lot of people see y'all in the city, so when y'all in Brick City, so the entire atmosphere is totally different, and y'all always have to be on your toes and on your P's and Q's. They would come down and visit the South, and that would be like the first time that they got rest. You know, they come down to visit their auntie, and that'd be the first time they got rest. They actually was able to relax, go out, not have to worry about the cops, not have to worry about the dude down the street, not have to worry about anybody or anything happening to them. They could actually come down there, introduce the culture, because we was heavy hip hop in the 80s. We was heavy hip hop, but we was always like about 6 or 7 months behind. That's why they got the South is slow, because y'all was on the East Coast, y'all was in the seat of the culture. Y'all was in the seat of hip hop culture. It was young. So a lot of the stuff that we get, we would have to get from our homeboys in New Jersey or our homeboys in New York. So we would get the DJ Red Alert and the BLS, and we would get all those tapes 6, 7 months later. So the culture was always behind as far as our age group, as far as our demographic, as far as the actual hip hop, the hip hop generation. We was always a little bit behind because we would get the latest music late, you know, and we thought it was crazy with the ultramagnetic and every Schoolie D and everybody started coming out. Because, you know, for a very long time, they only wanted us to hear Run DMC, Beastie Boys, all the stuff that was on Def Jam. They didn't want us down south to really hear anybody else. But because I had so many ties to the East Coast, we would get everybody. So when the tapes would come out, it would just be this one tape hit the hood, and that one tape would get duplicated about 60 times, and it just keeps spreading. So that was like one of the biggest misconceptions that, hey man, them boys down south, they slow. The fact that we was slower, we was behind in the culture because most of y'all was in the seat of the culture. So it was real time. So styles and music and sounds and stuff like that, they always trickled down. So it was just one of those things where, you know, we've always been connected. They just didn't want us to be connected. They wanted to dictate our connection. That's pretty much what it is. In today's time, they can't dictate your connections because you got everybody at arm's length all the time. So the narrative of putting out false information in the South that didn't really take place in the South, putting that out in the North and doing it vice versa, that don't work no more. Because we can just get online and text. Well, my man is in Jersey. Let me just text him and see what's going on. You see? So now the exchanging of information in this information age, that's really, really how they gotta be, why they gotta be tricksters. And this is the reason why we need to, more so than any other time, we need to be in communication with each other to understand what each other is going through in different parts of the country. Because as long as we doing that, then we can all stay on the same page. Because we so splintered and scattered right now, it's like they got us divided, and they keep dividing and they keep dividing and they keep dividing. We'll never be on the same page, you know. But the one single thing that's a fact is we got love for our culture and we got love for our people. All we got to do is expand that and spread that to make sure everybody is at least eating. It ain't got to be the whole cake, but if everybody can provide a benefit to everybody where everybody could get a piece of the pie, then, you know, I think that'll go a long way. You got a lot of mentors that are giving classes, that are writing books, that are enhancing people's lives, and we need to continue to do more of that. So we continue to do more of that, man. This thing, you know, we can at least create a movement that it could be something powerful. Most definitely be something powerful.
Now, when you look at music, it's cyclic. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, we might have been dealing with hip hop first.
Yeah.
But ain't no blues.
Man.
Listen. Like that blues from the Delta. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and how many lives was impacted, and how many people, you know, was put on, you know, through that Mississippi Delta. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so, like, hearing it, you know.
It was because it was a struggle, you know. You gotta realize,
hearing it sonically, you know, and hearing the stories. You see what I'm saying? Like, or you hear some gospel, or you hear some jazz, or you all of it. Yeah,
man. A lot of people didn't realize that they were still sharecropping in the Delta in modern times. That was still people that were sharecropping to be able to live on land in modern times. I mean, in like the 80s and 90s. It was still some stuff going on in the backwoods that a lot of people didn't know about. And to hear about it, they like, because now they feel like we're so far removed from the civil rights glory days and slavery that, man, this stuff was going on just in the 90s. You see what I'm saying? It's just, and it may still be. I haven't been, you know, I don't know what's going on. I got people down there, but I mean, of course, everything is modernized, but we not too far.
You get locked up in Texas, and you doing fair time. You picking cotton. You understand? Today, right now.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it just depends on where you at and what you doing. So you like, ain't too many people. You know, we're not that far removed. So we talking about the 60s. We talking about 60 years ago. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Like this is 155 years, 156 years since Juneteenth.
Yeah, man.
That's not long when you start doing subtraction. You see what I'm saying? When you doing long division, we doing like some folks really just checked up out of here.
Yeah.
You understand? Like not too long ago from some of that. So
generation, you're right.
You got to have a renewed understanding and an amount of psychological. You see what I'm saying? We go back 3 or 4 generations. Yeah. And we in bond service, we in chattel slavery.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? If we can go that far. If we can even go that far.
If we can even get that
the robbery and the thievery that come along, right? The robbery on both sides of the family. You see what I'm saying? Like, and this is supposed to be a normal thing. Yeah. You know, this is supposed to be a normal thing. So you looking back to most folks, if they know their father.
Right.
Do they know their father's side? Or if they know their mother and their mother's side, their mother, their father, they had parents who had parents who had parents. That's how far back you're supposed to be going. You see what I'm saying? And if you look biblically, they say to the 7th and the 10th generation. You see what I'm saying? So when you look at that mindset, how far back are you really supposed to be able to go?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
And
Like, so it start off with a genesis, right? It start off with a genesis.
Yep.
What's that? Yep. What's your genesis? You see what I'm saying? How thoroughly robbed of the mind in regards to who you truly are. You see what I'm saying? To the way where that robbery taking place.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Go ahead, bro.
But it just, you hit the nail on the head, man. We're not. So I'm 46, right? And my grandmother's mother had my grandmother at 60 years old. Okay. My grandmother's mother was still slavery. My grandmother was still right at the cusp. So these are all living people. My grandmother, my mother, they're living. So we not that far back from a lot of underground stuff that was going on. You see what I'm saying? And I mean, we've been fortunate that, we've had people in front of us to go ahead and take that lick for us, to create avenues for us to be able to do this. And the thing about it is we just got to be more grateful. We just got to be more, grateful and giving credit to our ancestors. And and that word ancestor, man, people often think when you say ancestors, they think you mean something like in the 1700s, 1800s, 1600s. But no, your ancestors is somebody that was just here that's not here anymore. You got to give them credit. You got to give them credit for paving a way for you. If we show that gratitude toward our ancestors and the ones that made the way for us, man, the way can only get bigger. But because we behave so resentful in our methodology and things that we do, we often create these obstacles for ourselves. And so what the lessons and the way that I start when I teach people is I start with the mind, because it starts with self. So once you get comfortable and enamored and start fall back in love with who you are, then you can give credit. And when you give credit, you get a whole different level of respect. Street dude, I was a street dude, okay? I was in mad stuff. I was always in the stuff. So much so that my mother, she sent me to New Orleans to stay with my uncle. Because at the time I didn't have really no father figure to kind of guide me. And he was the big brother. So my mother sent me out of Mississippi because I was a terror. I was a terror there into New Orleans. And you know how that works. You send gas, you put a gasoline can in a forest fire. Because New Orleans was a place that was in the early 90s, man, New Orleans was a war zone. But it is what saved my life, to be real. It is what saved my life, because I thought where I lived was bad and it couldn't get no worse until I went to where it was very, very way worse than how I was living in the city. So that kind of takes me aback, because I have people that say, man, if you had lived in the city, you would have had this amount of chance, blah, 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 blah. Because with people come more opportunities, until there are no opportunities for the people that are already there. The main line of business in New Orleans is tourism. Either that or panhandling or cooking or oil and gas. And ain't enough room for everybody because, like you say, it's the brother-in-law system. These people are etched in self-preservation, which is what they coached out of us. That's what they beat out of us. They beat self-preservation, putting self first. They beat that out of us. Over generations after generations, it taught us to be jealous of each other rather than to lift each other up or give each other opportunity. First dibs, they got rid of all this stuff through the generations. families isolate each other from other family members. You know, how many times did you know, you hear about the brother was so whacked out, or he went to Vietnam, he came back and he was messed up, and he started trying to deal with the sister's daughter and all this other type of stuff. This is the dysfunction that was systematically created through society. They systematically created this through society, all while they were pacifying it with civil rights and equal rights and all these different things. And all of them are, they had a place. I'm glad they happened. I'm not discrediting nothing. I stand on the shoulders of our ancestors, and I give them all the credit for creating this avenue to a point to where we can sit and build as brothers and say what we want. You see, there was a time when we couldn't do that, but we can do that, you know? So I feel like we should be grateful. We should have gratitude, you know, and always take a step outside of ourselves to say, look, somebody made this possible. Somebody made this, you know, internet possible. Somebody made this YouTube possible. But we know that none of it would be possible without us. That's the fact. So when we get all into these technologies and things like that, we have to look at where they came from. All of this come from us. And one of my favorite sayings that I always say, I say this all the time. Whatever the agenda is, it doesn't matter what the agenda is of the world, of the United States, of the state, of the town, of the city. It doesn't matter. Don't never think that it's not about you. It's always about you. It ain't about them other people. It's always about you. Every move, all these strategic moves and everything that's being made is being made because of you. Because of you. Now, I don't know what pack or what's going on with people that's over our head, but it's always about the African American community, the Black community, whatever you want to call it, the gods. It's always going to be about us.
It's interesting. It's interesting you say that, Mac, and I'm sorry I'm a little.
Oh man, it's all good, man. You know,
my brother.
You know,
but, I don't know. I was for some reason I must have had a different link, and I was waiting, and I was on the wrong.
Yeah.
But interesting you say it's all about you, because you know I'm a word person. So right. in you, I also see you in the word youth. So with that being said, and we tend to you know have the phrase to coin of the Whitney Houston song, I believe the children are the future. I never really subscribe to that, because I think the adults are the future, because they actually have to teach the children.
That's right.
So I say, when you say that it's all about you, are you specifying, saying that it's all about you being, let's say, those in an adult mature state, or all about you being the youth? Because you being in the word youth. So no. Who are they targeting?
You meaning any adult who have the ability to create any sort of energy rift in whatever agenda there is that anybody's trying to do. And here's what I mean by that, right? Okay, so Black men are quote unquote public enemy number one. Dr. Chris Welsing, a lot of people have already laid out the outline to why we are so intimidating. Not so much so that we're men, it's the fact that we are Black men, and we have a divine spark that no other species on the planet has. All they have to do is pervert that spark, just like you can pervert cattle, or you can pervert any sort of genealogy of animal. You control the herd through the dominant male species. If you relegate the dominant male species to subservient to the feminine species of that same conglomerate, because the feminine energy is always passive, and because the feminine energy is always nourishing, you kind of remove some of that aggression or some of that mental capacity to discern from that demographic of men. That's why if you notice, there's been an erosion of alpha men.
That's right.
It's been it's been a slow erosion of alpha men because you have them in order to create balance. So what they're saying is, for what they say is like one every other lineage is 1/36 of us, right? So that means that you have to erode that alpha in order to gain. Okay, so what I'm saying is they've perverted the crops, they perverted the plants, they perverted everything to quell that alphaness in the male species.
Indeed.
And I don't mean that, alpha being the most savage or the most aggressive, but just the one who's able to sit, think, and create and plan, yet have a firm understanding and a firm grip of discipline and how to maneuver these particular plans.
Right.
A bunch of great thinkers. This is the reason why we have to have conglomerates. This is the reason why we have to have a good team, because everybody has these different traits, and you must have good counsel. And the council has to be a council of thinkers on the alpha level, which is self-preservation. If you look at any alpha man, he's always concerned about moving forward with the group, whether it's his family, whether it's his crew of boys, whoever. But it is when the beta males, which doesn't necessarily mean weak, it's secondary.
Right.
It's always the beta males or the betas in the particular group, their beta thinking, that often leads to the demise of the group, because they don't have the ability to discern the difference between imminent danger and a safe haven.
Right.
Most of the young guys that I come into contact with, when I coach them up and they tell me some of their plans and I tell them it's a bad idea without even thinking about it, they don't understand that the consequences that come with these risks, you may not be able to come back from. Now, if you want to take a risk where you can fail, come back from it, recalculate and take another risk, then that's different. But if this risk that you're going to take, you won't be able to come back from, I don't think it's a good risk to take. But a lot of people had that, win big, bet big, win big.
Right.
But a lot of times you lose big. The house holding all the odds. If you look at society, you hold hardly any odds. Every one of us, the fact that we actually made it is a blessing, bro. I'm talking about that's big. The fact that we actually made it.
Exactly.
And the fact that we actually made it and we feel like we made it. See, a lot of people, a lot of men, they don't feel like they make it. They done made it because they don't, as compared to 50 Cent, or as compared to Jay-Z, or as compared to Bob Johnson, or as compared to whoever else. See, we got caught up in this European game of competition
And perception.
that's roaming.
Mm-hmm.
That's entertainment. We got caught up in this competition with this roaming, this European mindset of competing, always competing, always competing, always competing. We can never build anything if we're always competing. When we stand on the same principle. We stand on the same principles, yet we're competing.
That's right.
Now we can do things like they do it, give the illusion of competing, yet working together. See, this is the trick, that because they put so much cheating in front of you, or they put so much separation and competing in front of you to make you think, oh, well, this group ain't down with this group. Well, the whole time, this group has been feeding this group when this group was down, and this group was feeding this group when this group
was down. Yeah.
But see, we caught up in what we see, and the eyes, a direct connection to the brain, evokes emotion. That emotion takes away from your ability to think because you shorten your oxygen. Oxygen to the brain starts to decrease when you start dealing with stress. When people get mad and they can't see nothing but red, they almost literally stop breathing, and the kidneys, the adrenals kick out so much cortisol that if they don't do something, then it'll almost give them a heart attack. You see what I'm saying? That adrenaline just gets so up in them that if they don't release right then, and the way they release is an act of violence, it'll almost drive them crazy.
Exactly.
You know, and we don't teach something different than that.
Right.
You know?
Right. It's interesting you say that about the stress aspect because, as you know, a lot of people now suffer from hypertension, blood sugar, aka diabetes, and things of that nature. And just to hear you say that stress decreases the oxygen, I'll say just the oxygen to the brain to some degree. I can imagine a person that suffers from hypertension walking around every day, year after year, with this lack of oxygen that's going to their brain. Their inability to cognitively function on a normal or a healthy level is definitely impaired. So I can see how that may lead to a lot of emotional outbursts, a lot of things that we can't really ascertain why this person did that or did this. And it's an interesting level. I mean, when you think about it from that level, but that comes too. And like I said, I'm catching up because I don't know what you spoke about earlier, but it comes to this for the viewers. You know, I know you beyond my comrade, and as someone I could call a friend. That's somebody that's very well versed in, and I would say like the natural body, the natural man. I know you're somebody that's that's also a person that's on the square of esoteric insight, and also a person to me that you are an alpha male in the sense of your ability to transmute chaotic energy into energy that's more directive and focused. You know how to transmute that into that. So I feel you on that, and that's one of the reasons why I personally wanted you to be a guest tonight, because I feel like so many men and so many of us out here are on the verge. We're standing on that plank of knowledge, because when you look at knowledge, is from we were taught in the 90s, knowledge is knowing the ledge, and so many of us are now standing on the ledge of knowing that there's other bits of nuggets that need to go with that, because a lot of people that come into knowledge are inundated with the knowledge, and they're so full of emotion because there's no wisdom to go with that, there's no understanding to go with that, and a lot of them are beta males with a lot of knowledge with no alphaism, no alpha maleism to, I guess, balance that. And then they've never seen that, so they don't even know what that looks like. And seeing that is also not seeing that is also not knowing how to feel that. Don't even know what it feels like, because it's all energy at the end of the day. So I really see that, and in saying that, I guess I'm getting to the point whereas in your fitness side, how do you go about? Because there are plenty great athletes, and one thing I know that you deal with a lot of athletes from high school, collegiate on to the pro level. And these athletes, a lot of athletes are great physical athletes, but they're beta male mentality. When you get an athlete that operates from that place, do you work on also transforming the mind as well as the body and making an overall great athlete? And how do you go about that?
Oh yeah. Okay, so we do for every hour of physical work that we do, these athletes that we deal with, I can't speak for all trainers, but the athletes we deal with, they'll do triple, quadruple, 5 times that in mental work. What I mean is, if we're doing footwork drills, before you do any drill, if you didn't already see it, then we're not doing it. So you have to be in tune with your athletes, and they know this coming in. Unc gonna ask me this, Unc gonna be on me about this, Unc gonna be, because see, if you can see it, you can achieve it, right?
Right.
The body follows the mind every time. So we go into sports specific movements only, meaning if you play football, we're doing football moves only. We're not doing anything other than football moves, because you have familiarized yourself with the movements in that particular sports. Same thing with basketball, same thing with baseball.
Right.
Whatever you do, we're doing those moves. A lot of people get hurt because they haven't seen themselves do moves before or make moves before. They do these moves just in freestyling or just in sheer natural movement, and they end up getting hurt because they never saw themselves achieving that. I have players that I haven't even seen personally. I haven't touched personally. They hit me up and say, man, my game is 10 times better than what it was last year just doing the mirror work. That says to me, and I was always skeptical and I always thought about it, but I never had the opportunity to say, I'm going to be hands off and we're just going to use diction and phonics on the mind to create an athlete. I always thought it was like something that I could do. I just didn't have the know-how.
Gotcha.
Until I started the mirror work. When I started doing the mirror work, I got the confidence in myself and my ability to explain a thing in terms that resonate so well with who I'm speaking with that they can see it themselves. Just like you're an artist. Words present pictures. Your words are pictures for people. So I look at being part of the hip hop generation. It was always about who could tell the best story in the most witty way,
Right.
utilizing the best allegories, utilizing the best catchphrases. So I just transferred that into the craft of training athletes.
Gotcha.
So I make them see it first. So we do 2, 3, 4 times the mind work than we do the body work. And after we've mastered the body work, I go back into the mind to train the mind to heal the body. These are concepts that people are not using in this realm of training. I don't think anybody uses it. Everybody says, you got to, mind muscle connection, and they use these buzzwords, concentration. Nobody's teaching them how to heal themselves with the mind, repair themselves, allow themselves to utilize the nutrition that they're using, that they're consuming to go to the healing of whatever tissue that was damaged.
Gotcha.
We start at the top. It's all mental, all is mind. So we go into the mind and we train the mind to remove the limitations. Once we remove the limitations, then just naturally the alpha male comes out of you because you start to believe in yourself. See, a lot of kids, they need to be co-signed. The coach have to co-sign, the mama, the homeboy. If certain people on the team don't co-sign, then they feel like this, they feel still superior to other athletes.
Right.
We remove that doubt. We don't want none of that. You're the best on the field at this moment. And we live moment to moment. We know the next play is not promised. So we got to see us making this play this time. There is no next play. We get rid of the future. The past has already happened. We got this moment.
This moment
right now. So,
a lot of sense.
So in moment to moment, they have gratitude in their ability to be living and able to affect someone's energy in this moment. We have to start reeling ourselves in to say, I have an opportunity to affect this person's energy this moment. This moment. Now, we still have to keep in the scope of things that it is still warrior based. It is still European mind stated competition. In the spirit of competition, we always want to remain a good sportsman. That's why we don't do too much talking. Now, you always got the personalities, it's part of the job. Like for defensive backs, if you got a defensive back that can talk a wide receiver out of his game, or it's
right. It's all psychological. Yeah.
It's all tactics. It's never personal.
Exactly.
You still got to be sure that you're a good sportsman because we don't want anybody leveraging that as karma against you. See, we be cognizant of everything that's going on.
Right.
And we don't want any karma being leveraged against you from anybody else. You see what I'm saying? Because anytime that karma comes back, it could be 10 times worse. It could be 20 times worse. It could be career ending worse. So we always want to stay on the front side of Mother Nature's daughter, is what I call it. We don't want to play no games with her. So we stay within our collective understanding of us and remove limitations. We understand that the human body has certain limitations based on us just being humans. But if you can see yourself doing a thing over and over and over again, then you can do that thing.
That's
Who's
awesome.
to
That's
tell
awesome.
you that you can't do that thing?
Can the mirror workout also be effective for those that may be obese and want to try to lose weight, and whatever methodology they may use, is it effective in that regards as well?
Yeah, see, so mirror work is the work in the mirror. You have to accept what's in the mirror first.
I was just about to say that. That's the first thing came to my mind.
You got to accept. You got to get in that mirror and be honest. You got to be honest.
A lot of people can't. That's what a lot of people they go wrong at right there.
Oh yeah, you have to be honest. So, and the way I teach it is, I tell my people that the mirror is an alternate world. It is a world that does exactly what you do in this world, except it's backwards. So if you could reverse time and do things different, what would you do? A lot of times it's trauma based, and we understand that trauma affects,
Right.
but again, the subconscious mind.
Right.
Everybody else keep telling you the subconscious mind is here. Nobody just might be a first. I don't know. Everybody keeps telling you the subconscious mind is here. This is the act brain. That gut feeling.
That gut feeling, that momentum, huh? That you told me.
That God particle.
Yeah.
Subconscious mind. So you have to continue to work on the ego, to convince the ego that the subconscious mind knows all. All cannot become all in mind until you understand how to control the energies of the subconscious mind. So we know that trauma leaves a stain on our subconscious mind. When you ask these people what would they change, a lot of times it's trauma-based. They want to forget the hurt. They want to forget the anguish and the pain. But the only way that you can do that is to accept that it happened to you. Once you accept that it happened to you, there's no reason. You don't deal with reasoning, because that becomes an excuse of your failure. You care about the reason. It happened. Now, a lot of people remain stagnant their entire lives, and they constantly grabbing for a thing that they deem to be success or that they deem to be sanity. But if you've never accepted the trauma and transmutated that trauma into something beautiful, that's that whole catchphrase, beauty is in the struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Really? If that is the case, then you have to be honest in the mirror and forgive yourself and stop beating yourself up for something that happened to you because it was written. Other than
that also just that breakdown gives credence to the phrase "beauty is in the eye of the beholder." We say it on the surface level, but true beauty is in the eye of the beholder, because it's the beholder's way of seeing themselves in reverse and in an alternative state. That's I like how you broke that down for me. I could definitely see that. I could definitely see that, man. That's it's always good, man, talking to you, because a lot for our viewers and listeners, if they only know the conversations that you and I have on a personal level and have had for the last what 8 years that we've been.
Man. Oh man, they've been crazy.
Man,
so you keep me sharp because you ask me the hard questions. You ask me the hard questions. Like, I don't get a lot of hard questions. That's why there's no hesitation with my answers.
Indeed.
Sometimes you ask me the hard questions where I have to actually sit back and run it through the timeline to see where actually the wrong or what energy, when the energy changed. When you have like this energy change in 2000, and you have this energy change in 2004, then you have this energy change in 2012, and now you're having this energy change in 2020. I have to look back through the timeline to see when this energy change, how did it affect those that affect me? Other races of people, other cultures of people don't affect me. My culture is the hip hop generation. They can call it Generation X, they can call it generation whatever those are terms. They created. We created hip hop. We named it hip hop. They named it rap. They made rap famous. We created hip hop. That is my culture. I came through the hip hop culture, a culture that was created by me, a culture that was created by my peers, a culture that embodied all of us.
Right.
Now it is the embodiment of the world.
Of the world.
Why can't us, the hip hop culture, benefit from a thing that came out of our generation? You see, we don't understand how to use and leverage energy. We can leverage credit. I see a million videos about people leveraging credit, but can't nobody leverage energy. And then they try to figure I'm so overwhelming in the room with them. I leverage energy to understand that if we are to do this as a team, any kind of partnership, if we are to do this as a team, we're going to have energy, because energy, people are energy. So if you bring a certain energy, that energy is not creating thoughts, and these thoughts aren't producing fruitful discussion, then nothing can be real, because people are energy.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Thoughts create the utterance, and the utterance creates the reality. So to build a reality, we understand that hip hop generation. We understand that is our reality. That is our energy. A lot of people are becoming successful off the energy of the people that created this culture, and we're not. There's no reason MC Shan should be struggling. There's no reason why DJ Red Alert should be struggling. No reason why Grand Flash and Cool Cat and all it. There's no reason for Sugar Hill Gang. None of those guys should. None of them should be having a worry in the world.
It's interesting you say that, man, because I was, I follow a lot of the old heads, a lot of the, guys' shoulders I stand on, and Cool Herc, the Godfather and founder, who I consider, he had some medical issues a year or two ago, and he might still be, not in a great place health-wise, and it just hurt me. It just kind of really, it just hurt me to see that somebody who was instrumental in birthing this art form is not even really known by those who do it now. They have no knowledge of who this person is that is responsible for the very music that they do. And on top of that is, really doesn't have anything financially set in place to sustain their living. These kind of people, the people you said, they should be like the faces on Mount Rushmore. They should be people that they taking care of, period. And I just really implore artists who are successful to really listen. If they're seeing this and hearing this, need to reach back, and they need to really create something for these old school or these artists, these founders, with some type of union situation or some type of pot. Like you said, alphas need to come together and put something together where we have a kitty or a pot there we dump into for the sustainability of these founders, because they did and offered so much at a time when hip hop was in its infancy stages and nobody took it serious. Nobody. That's why the money that is being made now is nowhere near what was made then. And these artists just, but at the same time, to be fair, I can't say what Jay isn't doing. I can't say what Puffy isn't doing. We don't know what these guys are doing, but I just say on a bigger level, on a more projected level, it seems like nothing is being done. I just pray and wish that these guys are being taken care of. And if I can do something myself, then, I would even donate from a standpoint of, GoFundMe or whatever they got set up. Because I just feel like I've rode the backs for them for over 20 years now. I've been in this craft over 20 years doing it, mastering this craft. And I give allegiance to these guys who inspired me and who put that divine, I won't say put the divine spark in me, but ignited that divine spark that was already there that made me want to, go down this pathway. I agree with you, man, because I follow MC Shan, and just seeing that brother, very insightful. The brother's still sharp, but to see his lifestyle now and to see where he's at, it bemoans me, because I'm like, damn, this brother supposed to be on a whole nother level, man. Like a whole nother. He was so instrumental. He's a pillar of this edifice that we call hip hop, and it just, it's like crazy.
Think about this, man. Think about this, Ray. So we went from albums costing $9.99 to $12.99 to $16.99, and I think it might have got as $21.99 per album.
Right.
Streaming came out, so people were getting X amount of dollars per stream, and now you got Apple Music at 99 cents per download. Okay, I want you to think about something. We'll just go from 1990. From 1990 to 2020, if every stream, every album, every song, every EP was to put 10% of every album sold or every download, that's 9 cents, into a pot over the last 20, 30 years, every single one put in to a pot, every download, everything that was paid for those particular creative rights was put in a pot. And when you hit retirement age, that BMI, ASCAP, or whoever, or whatever trust that's holding the money would cut you a check. Can you imagine how big that pot would be?
For sure.
But you got people selling, Cash Money did a billion records. A billion records sold. If the average cost of a billion records was $5.99, at 9 cents or 10% of that, that's almost $1 billion.
Right.
You see, and then when these executives and these artists and these the people that run these companies, who probably already got 401ks and pension plans and life insurance, it won't be so much of a burden as it is to one of the artists who may have 7 years in the league. If they do 10 albums in a span of 15 years, then based on their albums delivered, they will get a certain amount of money per month until they pass. You know, it may even be something like Social Security, where it's just enough money to make sure you ain't dead broke. It may not be nothing you can live on. You still may have to work a little bit. That's why a lot of people have to get jobs even on Social Security.
Right.
No, but you'll have something. You'll have something.
That's a great idea, man.
And it'll be transparent.
That's a great idea.
Everybody can go in and look at, you know, how we get these statements to show what the company's doing, how much the company spent on retirement.
That's a great idea.
I mean, once you know, these people but this is the thing, they set up in every other industry. It's set up in every other industry. But see, you got to look at who run that industry. You got to look at who run the industry. They, as long as they are giving you something, they're going to always be able to leverage you. Same way they just did with the election. They're going to always be able to leverage you as long as that you have the, if you feel like you're getting something. If you feel like you're getting something, they're going to always be able to leverage you. That's how they trick the artists. That's how they trick the actors in Hollywood. You got to look at who controls these industries.
That's right. That's right.
As long as you feel like you're getting something out of the deal, like, you know, you got to think about it. And see, you've been in the game, so the game is changing. You was smart. You was very smart because you was around a whole bunch of smart people. These people, you start to understand the value of your independence. It's just recently. You got to think, it's 2020. In 1999, nobody understood the value of their independence other than Mack and Cash Money Records. And that's just, and it was others. They were just the most lucrative at the time.
They were. They
understood the cost of independence. And this is the reason why the 360 deal exists. This is the reason why they'll never give you a distribution deal, because they don't want you to be independent. They want you to feel like you're getting something. So you got to think, everybody signing these record deals, they getting these ridiculous budgets, $1 million video budgets, all this money, right? And they understand they have to recoup based on what's being given. And at the end of the day, it may not be what you expected. So you got to stay on the road. You got to stay, working in order to make a living. Now, imagine if once you hit your 20-year anniversary as an artist, you get all your masters. Your masters are kept in trust to help provide through licensing, to help provide retirement
Right. The
to
perpetuity
the
fee.
artist. Right. Until you, and once you hit your 20th anniversary of your last album, those masters come out of the pot and into your trust. But we still keep those songs licensed in rotation, in film, in TV. So you continue to earn on that forever. And if you pass without a will, those masters go back into the pot until the masters are leveraged or are filed for by biological children. Now we do understand that we have people that don't have children. You know, you have people who don't have a mother, father that's living. And in that case, they would stay in the trust and they'll continue to generate money for the trust, for the artists that are still out there, for the artists that's coming up on retirement, for the artists, it'll continually be, creating money for the pot. It'll be self-sustainable.
And that's the case, and that's in any case if one doesn't have a will, though.
No one has a will.
Gotcha.
But coming into the game, and once you sign the paperwork to the trust, you also can create a will of who's to get what. You see, and that way you remove all the guesswork. You remove all these.
I like that.
Such
I like
as
that a lot, Matt. I like that a lot. That's a
buying
great idea.
buying Michael Jackson masters, buying Prince. You remove all of the guesswork. You put it in trust and let it earn in perpetuity. You see, as long as you're doing it like that, then all the artists, they'll always have a supplemental income coming in based on licensing and publishing and royalties.
Right.
You see, because now this whole Apple's whole playlist, Spotify whole playlist, all the music that they have is earning.
It's earning, yes.
So as long as it's earning, this is going into trust. And it's only if it's an Apple download, if let's say if you get 15 cents per play on Apple on average, only 1.5 cents. So you're only losing a penny and a half. And it's going in, it's going in, it's going in, it's going in. So based on your contribution throughout your career, 10 albums, you may not have sold 10 million, but you may have sold 10,000. But because depending on how much that money has been, how much that fund is earning based on your time in the business, meaning you have to be active in the business, same way the NFL, same way in the NBA, you be active in the business. If you're doing, production credits, so you're doing score credits. If you're doing other credits, these credits go into your trust. It goes into understanding your time in the music business. You're contributing. So if I did a song off your album and I get 5 points off the song, and that point might be equal 10 cents, then I'll put a penny in the pot because it's only 10% of
10%, yeah.
And it continues. Now just imagine you got 100 million artists that's in the Music Guild Trust.
Oh, I already see it. I already see the number.
It will be something that will be.
Yeah, it's a crazy number. Crazy.
Yeah. And everybody and nobody would be out there without a pot to piss in.
Yeah, that's true.
That has contributed to the culture. That is our culture, bro.
Yeah,
and
it is.
Getting rich except for us.
Yeah, that's real. Because they leveraging our energy. And we're not even reclaiming our own energy to leverage. Some artists are. I give some artists they done got hip and they smart, but the majority of us who become very successful, that energy is being leveraged to fill the coffers of record labels and conglomerates and things of that nature. Right. Definitely. That's the downside of being independent, because they make it, and I can attest to that, they make it where it really seems like it's impossible to permeate this barrier. It's like this unseen barrier to, quote unquote, what one deems successful, or just making it. Because, and I could say that even as an artist myself, I had to, I guess I could relate it to the mirror thing, because you reach a point sometimes. Coming up in the 90s, our thing was if you got a deal, you made it. You know what I'm saying? Because we were sending cassette tapes to everywhere. I'm talking about I done shopped everywhere. And it was like you was trying to get on with Def Jam, Priority, Sleeping Bag, Relativity, any label, and it's like you got that deal, you was on. Mm-hmm. And then it got so, and this, as time progressed, and that became scarce, and major conglomerates was buying up other little labels and stuff and such, you know, creating to where it's now really no true independence.
Right.
It's a situation where it's like if you have to really get out that mindset of getting a deal, and it forces you to think independently, especially where technology took the music. When the whole download and Napster and all that came into play, we saw a whole situation. We saw the music industry get revolutionized, and a lot of us from that era, we fell off because we weren't able to acclimate and to actually transcend that form, that old way of thinking, in order to continue doing the craft. And I get it. And
you understand? You were coached by the masters of that.
Right.
So that's the reason why they failed, because they weren't ready.
Right.
But who transcended that? A little 16-year-old boy transcended and almost upended the whole music industry. You got to think about the geniusness of your kind. Soulja Boy literally transferred the energy of the music business with the downloads.
Yeah, he did. Soulja Boy, man, I always say, boy, Soulja Boy is people sleep on that man. Soulja Boy is a mind, man. You got
to think about
that young boy, man.
That's crazy. So you got to think about the ingenuity of the youth. Because we have been coached by the masters that this wouldn't be a thing until the creative genius of these youth that's coming back to the planet. Who's to say this is his first time? Who's to say that he doesn't channel or have some sort of warrior energy in him designed to be there at that particular point to transcend the business?
Right.
We have to take a step outside of ourselves and say, well, why did this happen like that? Everything happens for a reason, man. It had to go that way. It had to go that way because had the people who was holding the masters had figured that out first, then the game would just be, everybody would be getting wrong. Everybody would. There would be no leveraging. There would be no leveraging of anything. You see, because the industry was just so hell bent on not giving any more cash money to deals. And if you listen to P will tell you they didn't even want to do that deal.
That priority deal with him?
Yeah, they didn't even want to do it. They was looking like, man, we're not gonna make no money on that. They weren't even thinking about it. But the part of it was, I think they knew. That they wasn't going to make a lot of money, but they was going to make more money. They was going to be able to build P more than what he sold, and end up having him on the back end the way they have all artists. They just didn't understand the South. They didn't understand the pull, and they didn't understand the support that the South had. The South wasn't splintered like the North. Just because you was from Florida didn't mean that Texas wasn't going to buy your music. Just because you was from Mississippi, Florida,
exactly.
Alabama, everybody, because the South was just so happy to have artists in the game.
Right.
Because we
supported one another, man. Being from Miami, that's all we supported everybody, man.
Yeah, you just supported everybody.
Supported us. I mean, because I look at it, you say independently. I'm gonna tell you, bro. All I know is Luke Skywalker selling music out the trunk. I watched this man grind from the trunk, and it's funny you say that because I think what the South did on a corporate level was they underestimated our grind and hustle. They didn't understand that we had a hustle that they had never seen before.
Right.
We knew there was something that they never knew. You know what I'm saying? Because Luke Skywalker was instrumental, and Tony Draper was instrumental. Your boy Jay Prince, all these people be like, come on, Easy E. Like it was a whole different kind of hustle going on.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because see, in on the East Coast, they were so saturated.
Yeah, it was.
On Rap City and different places, you were seeing a new artist every day. It was introducing new artists every day. It was so saturated. And I think a lot of artists got washed over because of the saturation. And their attitude was like, oh, if you don't like it,
we're gonna create our own.
Out there like
we're gonna create our own.
Yeah, we'll go get somebody else.
And when they did Video Jukebox helped us really get seen. Because when they did Video Jukebox, it was a wrap.
Yeah. And that, and that was, I think, that was working against the East Coast at that point when the South started to come up a little bit. Yes, that they were so saturated and it was so competitive, and that it kind of forced them to work against each other. And the record labels, they was all for it. They was all for it. That's how the whole Biggie Tupac thing.
Boy, you took it out my mouth. I was just gonna say that was the birth of division. That was the birth of division right there. Yeah, right there.
If I got all this stuff, I gotta find a way. Like, okay, we'll look at this in terms of pharmaceuticals, right? This is how industry works in this country. And all they do is take the same methodology of how they do this country and they apply it to everything. These people think they smart. They think they smarter than you. It's not so much that they're smarter than you. They've dumbed down the education of you to where they seem smart. But when that God mind comes out, it's all elementary. All right. So they're doing the same thing. In order for you to continue to stay in control of a thing that you're losing control of, is to create a need for something else. You have a music business that's overly saturated with dope MCs, dope producers, dope artists that's in this melting pot of the East Coast. I'm talking about you got hundreds of thousands of people that spit crazy. They're on the corner every day, right? Then you have this, meanwhile, you have this same thing bubbling in California because California had a tremendous amount of dope artists. They just didn't have the notoriety because there was no internet. So we couldn't really understand the cultures of everybody.
Right.
So what they did was they created a need for multiple faceted artists by playing the California artists against the New York artists, saying that California artists, because they had their own style and their own culture, they couldn't spit the way New York artists were so lyrical, and vice versa, to the point to where you gotta understand, Tupac from New York, but he went to the West Coast and they had already created this separation between the West Coast and the East Coast. They'd already created this separation. So they already created a need. They already created another industry, beef rap. Because before then, it's about who could spit what.
Right.
And if he was battling, if LL Cool J could rap better than Kool Moe Dee, it was just what it was.
Right.
So now you create this culture to where it leaves the words and spill over into the streets, which is what we never intended for it to do, but they created a need for it. They created an industry for it.
Right.
So now, not only do you got NWA, that NWA birthed all these artists who was talking horrorcore because it was still reality, but they started trajecting the reality not on us as children to tell us the story because the story started leaving. The storytelling started leaving.
Yes, did.
And the what I'm gonna do to you and why I'm gonna do to you started coming into raps. And only
the ego stepped in for real.
That's right. They just made it more and more creative and with words. But they created this whole genre to pull away from the X-Clan, the Lakim Shabazz, the Flavor Unit, and all the things that was coming up that was being fostered in the early 90s to help promote knowledge of self. To this day, I still believe that if they hit the Wu-Tang Clan with the RICO because they were one of the only groups that was still talking and teaching the gods on the earth. You see what I'm saying? They was teaching knowledge of self, and they was doing something way different.
And they were they were successful with it because they tapped into the frequency of the street, of the gangsters. Like they was able to tap into the frequency of a nigga on the street, but it was still God body rhetoric.
Right.
You know, it was God body rhetoric.
And they provoked your mind. They provoked thought.
Yeah.
It was thought provoking, you know? And then you got all these different personalities that's coming from all these different ways. And then, you know, who releases songs like Basic Instructions Before Leaving Earth?
Come on, man.
All these types of things. These things were so far ahead of the game and so against what they were preaching to create an industry. They created a whole industry, man. You know, you start saying, you went from saying hip hop sections to sections of hip hop. Like they created a whole nother industry. Now they can tell you're not going to sell if you're not killing something.
Right.
So and you know, like I said earlier, you always want to feel like you're getting something.
That's true. That's
You
true.
see, so if they tell you, okay, we'll give you $1 million advance if you got 10 songs that's gangster. We'll give you $500,000 advance if you got 5 songs or 10 songs about 5 songs about this and only 5 songs about this. We only give you $500,000. You know, so
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
It was all about how they created. You create an industry.
That's true.
If one industry is becoming oversaturated, you create another industry off of that industry to keep feeding, to keep eating off of it. They'll never stop eating off of us because we don't understand that. And see, that's the thing about trust. You get things in trust, boy, it's rock solid. You see? And then you have accountability there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, bro. That's true.
You know, what you gonna do? You gonna go call the Social Security Administration when you're 40 years old and say, man, I need all that money back that I paid out of my check. I ain't hit retirement yet, but I'm needed. No, you're not finna call the Social Security Administration. So why you gonna call the Music Guild Trust?
Yeah.
Same thing. But guess what it does? It puts you on the private side. Takes you out of that government. Takes you out of that Social Security number. Puts you on the private side, protects your money.
Got you. And that's what they don't want. That's what they don't want.
That's you think
any privatization on our part is unwanted.
Yeah, if they just imagine from 1990 to 2020, wow, you talking about trillions.
You talking about a recoupment that boy, that's bigger than reparations.
Yeah, you talking about trillions
on a whole nother level, man. Like it can be, man. That's crazy, man. It's cool, man. Hey, man, I see like our time. You know, we at that time, but man, you know, man, you could go on and on because I had so many things I want to discuss with you, especially in the health and wellness aspect, because our people, man. And before I let you go, I do want to ask you 1 or 2 questions in regards to that, because I feel like, you know, especially on IG, I'm very active on social media, and you know, quite a few people follow me, and I follow quite a few people. And one thing I see is the trend and I would say natural herbs and people this and that. Like right now, the hot thing is sea moss. Now everything is sea moss, and everybody's selling their sea moss or this and that or this type of thing they selling. You know, and I know you. One thing I know about you that I learned from you that you actually inculcated in me and taught me is the proper application, the properties of the particular herbs, and how the usage should be actually applied. And I feel that, so now when I see people actually selling and promoting things without any proper instruction, without any way of how to apply certain things, and then a person that's actually taking these things don't even see results or see nothing happening for them, is because really it's like you just took something that you pissed out. So I say to you from a CMOS standpoint, first of all, I don't even think people know what it is. So I ask you, is it a fungus? Is it an algae? And really, how should it even be taken and applied with people?
Okay, so it's an algae, okay? Chondrus crispus is an algae. You have algae, but Chondrus crispus is the reason why it's so popular is because Dr. Sebi told everybody, you know, about sea moss and what it does. And what makes sea moss so valuable is the fact that it has all of the essential minerals for life. It's not 102, it's not 93, it's only 13. So
man, say that again, because all I hear is people talking about it has 102 the elements. And I'm like,
and you know, Minister Inky was talking about this the other day too. Okay. You know, when people take sea moss and bladderwrack, that's intellectual property owned by Dr. Sebi, and Dr. Sebi's people should be getting a cut of all y'all selling that shit, because that's his intellectual property. That's his. He mixed that. This is what I mean when I say when we stand on the shoulders of our ancestors, we got to give them credit. When you don't give people their credit, man, when you don't give people the honor, man, you got to give the brother Alfredo Bowman, Dr. Sebi, his honor. He brought that to us in love, and he told you, he told you, I'm giving this to y'all, my brothers and sisters, in love. I love you. Every one of his lectures, he would tell you how much he loved you. And he was giving you this information because he loved you. And you got out here just willy-nilly selling sea moss that they didn't even cook right, they didn't even simmer right, they didn't even wash right, they didn't add the cinnamon or they didn't add none of the things that was good for whatever ailment they have. It's additives that can make sea moss super good. And it's other additives, people just putting stuff in it willy-nilly that'll make it super bad. The only thing sea moss has is the essential minerals for life. It has all of the essential minerals for life, for its life sustainability.
Gotcha.
That's it. If you have certain elements, you have to add other things, other constituents to it, and then you have to take it or you have to utilize it a certain way. I see people just putting it in a jar and it's just blended up sea moss. We don't know how you prepared it. We don't know where you got it from. China Mo sent me a picture of sea moss that come from Vietnam. What? I don't want radiation sea moss.
Okay.
I don't want sea moss from waters where radiation is leaking out of Fukushima. You see what I'm saying? And it's been my boy Congo Nature has been pissing him off for a long time. See, I let it slide because I already know. We know the instant we see somebody talking about 90-some minerals, 80-some minerals, 70-some minerals, 102 minerals, just because they added bladderwrack, we know you're not legit. You just on the wave. And then people sea moss and they're not getting any benefit from it. You might feel a little bit better because you probably so deficient in minerals and vitamins that even just by taking the low grade, ill prepared sea moss will give you some benefit.
Right.
Let's say it's not going to give you any benefit.
Exactly.
It'll give you some benefit, and you think that the fact that you feel good now, it's the best thing in the world. But if your channels of elimination are still compromised, that's short-lived. You got a whole lot of other things to do before you even get to the sea moss. Everybody putrefied. Okay. Nobody wants to get rid of the bad stuff. Nobody want to get rid of them worms and that pus that they got sitting in their gut. They just want to get the sea moss.
Right.
And it don't work like that.
Don't work.
It's a process. And everybody want the quick fix. But if you dehydrate it, and I give you the sea moss holds 10 times itself in water. But you dehydrate it. You can't use the bathroom. Your heart is beating, and your kidneys are regulating the blood pressure, and your pressure is through the roof. And you think sea moss gonna help you? It might help the kidneys a little bit, but you're still constipated. You haven't even done anything about the channels of elimination. You don't work out, you don't sweat. You barely go to the bathroom. You see what I'm saying? You can drink a gallon of water and pee a lot. That's the number one thing. I can't drink a whole bunch of water. Oh, every time I drink the water, I pee. You know what you're doing? You're creating disease. Nobody thinks water can create disease. Nobody thinks that.
Break that down, Mac. What you mean when we say that?
People continue to rob them. If you drink a bunch of water and you don't put the minerals back in a proper balance, you leave yourself open for instabilities and you leave yourself open for deficiencies. People have vitamin D deficiency. It's vitamin D and magnesium deficiencies are epidemic proportions. Epidemic proportions. Nobody want to get out in the sun every day. Number one. First of all, people live above the Mason and Dixon. You can cancel that D. Like I told my homeboy, I said we were fortunate enough to live below the Mason and Dixon. We were fortunate enough to be raised.
Right. That's what I love about being from Miami.
Fortunate, but you vitamin D deficient and magnesium got to work together. So you magnesium deficient and your heart is weak. See, the magnesium helps provide for the heart. Magnesium helps the heart relax. So you have an abundance of people that have calcium that's calcifying themselves, but no magnesium to balance it out. You can't use vitamin D. Vitamin D is a hormone, but vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. It's a hormonal vitamin that has a lot of different actions in the body. a lot of metabolic actions in the body. But if you're not eating the proper saturated fat, then you still going to be able to convert the D. You see what I'm saying? You won't be able to convert it in a certain type of way, and you will continue to calcify. You know what I'm saying? And then if the first thing they do is take them off salt, sodium builds blood volume. And the reason why they take you off of salt, because they don't want you building more blood volume. If your blood pressure is already high, you don't want to put more blood in the body. You don't want to create more blood if you can't get the blood that you got in the body going through the body.
Right.
So they take you off of salt. So now once they take you off of salt, your batteries are messed up. Back in the day, we used to have teddy bears, or we used to have robots, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a robot, you buy the robot, you always ask your mom, what? I got to get some batteries to go in the robot.
Right.
So you take those two batteries and you put those two batteries in the back of the robot.
Back of the robot.
Those two batteries are your kidneys. Those are your kidneys. That's the energy. Those are the energy creators of the body. You are only as strong as your kidneys. Well, this heart is beating, and the kidneys regulate the blood pressure. They regulate the pressure. If your kidneys are failing, if you got high blood pressure, they take you off the salt. So now you don't have sodium. Each one of those batteries has a positive and a negative, right?
Right.
When you put the batteries in, that's what sodium and potassium is to the kidneys. That's the battery of the kidneys or the battery. So you need sodium and potassium in balance to make sure those batteries function properly. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Now the magnesium low, your heart is not working right. They took you off of salt, so you're not creating any new blood volume. So your kidneys are suffering. The next thing after you have a couple of directions that you can go. If the heart gets weak, they put you on these meds. The next thing to go is your kidneys. You know what I'm saying? Once the kidneys go, that's when all the other things start to happen. The blood clots and the strokes and the heart attacks and things like that because of the calcification. You're eating bad, and the liver's constantly producing cholesterol to patch up those scars in your arteries, and those scars become calcified. That cholesterol becomes calcified. It becomes hard. Then all of a sudden, your blood pressure goes up and up because the blood is still trying to get through.
And it's blocking that calcification is blocking the flow.
It's blocking it, and you throw a clot, or you have some sort of AFib, or you have a stroke. You stroke out. So that's how that whole thing works. Listen, I fix blood pressure every single day. So easy, off the meds, stabilize blood pressure. I fix it every day. It is so simple. It's almost hilarious to me when some of the stuff people tell me they go through. It is such a simple thing to fix that you can get in a everyday grocery store, and when I tell you, I racked my brain in the 2000s to try to figure this thing out, and when I finally figured out how easy it was, I was so upset with myself that it had been right in my face the whole time.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? It is a mineral deficiency. When you hear Dr. Sebi talk about the African biomineral balance, all he's doing is balancing your minerals. He's putting you back in balance. So many people got stuck on the acid alkaline.
Exactly.
So many people got stuck on mucusless. So many industries, see what I'm saying? They do the same trick over and over again. We're running out of avenues, so we'll create an avenue. So all of a sudden you get the mucusless diet. All of a sudden you got this acid alkaline diet.
Mm-hmm.
All these different avenues. They created industry, they created commerce off of our brother Dr. Sebi, and making big money, and Usha villages not getting anything. You see what I'm saying? They have to do their own things for sustainability, because these people have created so many avenues and so many lines of communications that are to make money, and they're not giving back. But all that come from Dr. Sebi, and he never splintered it. He cleaned you and built you back up, because we know viruses are non-living. Say that again. because people would think I'm trying to take the virus. Viruses, and put them in categories the way the European is doing with your viruses. Viruses are non-living. They require a host to create life. So when somebody tell you that a virus is a thing, the body does not produce any separate antibodies to say this is a herpes virus or this is a HIV virus or this is a flu virus. The body does not produce separate antibodies. It handles all viruses the same. They give you protein tests and split up these viruses by name so they can create the same trick over and over again, the same trick over and over to create commerce. If we run it out, if we ain't got a lane, we gonna make a lane. These people are not very smart. They continue to make these lanes, and because we have a 3-year attention span, we forget. But being that I've been on the ground since '93, I've been neck deep in this since '93. I've seen all of it happen, and they just repeat themselves.
That's right. That's right. I see it happening on so many levels, and I mean, just that's why I did that post a while back on IG a few days ago about the alkaline situation, because I see so many people doing it, man. They just like they think they could drink alkaline water, and that it's the end all be all. And I'm like, you're really making yourself more sick than you need.
Alkaline water creates disease, man.
It creates disease, and the market knows that. Anything you see that's been commercialized on any level like that, you need to go ahead and back up off that.
Yeah.
That's just something I believe in, bringing balance. You know what I'm saying? Like it's interesting you say that, because I came up in the ranks through so many forms, from veganism to lacto-veganism.
I went through it all.
To pescatarian. Yeah. And when I met you, Matt, and we got to talk about it, and you start talking about just the consumption of meat, and initially I was like, nah, I ain't on that.
No, I can tell.
But you know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. But I never.
You never said I won't.
I never combat it. I never found it combative. I took the information and said, I wonder what he's trying to say with that, because so many years I had diverted myself away from that type of eating, that diet. But let me tell you, man, right now today, just 2 years ago at the job, you seen me at the work, and for those who don't know, me and Mac, we work together. So I had got up to also, man, from the time I got that job, man, I started and I was right around 150. I blew up to like 185, my brother, especially when we was at Hosey. I couldn't believe it, man. But I felt this, so my clothes tightening up, and it got to the point where I was tying my shoe and was like kind of winded when I come up. Like I was like, we're like, something going on here.
Right.
So on the outer shell, I seem small and slim, but I knew again, looking in the mirror, something wasn't right. But I kid you not, bro. And I'm not saying that this is what happened, but I just said, you know what? Everything that I done in the past and I learned, I'm just going to go back to unlearning some things and go back to what grandma told me and how grandma fed me, things that we did in that aspect. And I kid you not, man, to this day, I'll go and eat some vegan food, but I also will go eat some good beef brisket. I will go eat a good steak if I want to. I will go eat such and such. I don't eat no swine. That's just my preference. Right. But I will eat these things, and I find that the fats and different things. Look here, man. I'm saying all that to say that from 185, I weigh 147. I don't know how that happened. I don't know. It's shrunk. My limb.
The sound went out, Red.
Hold on, Matt.
Okay.
Hold on, I lost connection. Somebody tried to call me. Hold on. I'm about. Can you see me? All right.
Yeah,
so my lymphatic system is more operable. I mean, moving around and just like I just feel like, and people even at the job, cats like, damn, boy, you drawing up, and it's like I feel more healthy, even though I look small. I feel more optimum in health, to where it's like I feel like this me again. You know what I'm saying? So and I don't put myself in this hole of having to eat the certain, because even then, man, these vegetables killing us, man. People get on these vegetarian diets and they eat all this. And I'm not saying don't do it, but you got to know what you're doing. You got to know how you're doing something. And after a while, you become deficient, and there's a deficit that takes place in the body when you don't put back things that a vegetable or a proper supplement doesn't do. And you kind of opened my eyes to that. I got to give you credit for that. But I was like, you know what? Let me get back. Let me see what's going on. I tried some things, and I was amazed. Like, you know what? I feel a little strong. I feel different, but I don't feel like I'm laden with this weight or this feeling.
Right.
I feel like my body was saying, "Damn, thank you for giving us what we needed." Like, damn, you know what I'm saying?
It brought you back to balance.
Yeah, man.
It took. See, the body. The body is so. It's a work of ingenuity by the Creator. It is unmatched in the universe, in my opinion, in its ability to create and come back to homeostasis once you get to the position to where you provide the body with all the things necessary for sustainability. I'm a believer that nothing was created or put here on this earth for no reason.
Exactly.
Nothing here that's no reason. And once I learned how they skew studies for leverage into these industries, I had to get beyond the politics. So my studies in the mid 2000s went back to the 1800s, to before a time before medicine had a hold on the world, before pharmaceuticals had a hold on the world, when studies were actually studies in real time. That's the reason why they got rid of human trial studies. You know, because they said it was ethically it was brutal. You know what I'm saying? But you go back and you start looking at the history, and you start looking at the development of these different medications, and saw what they did to people, original people, and then you start to realize that none of the studies was done on you. And so, how can these different things benefit you? Like, people don't even know this. A German scientist started the vegetarian diet. The vegetarian diet was started by a German scientist.
For the basis of what? Like, what was the reason behind that? Tell me.
Because in Germany, so you had all these different ways of eating, okay? And their diet only consisted of, I would say, potatoes. It just consisted of high starch, high carb,
right?
Stuff like that, right?
Okay.
They created what we call a vegetarian diet. It's not vegan, because vegans eat whole different than real vegetarian.
Right, exactly.
And because food was scarce during that time, food was scarce, but they could grow a lot of produce, but meat and things like that, they couldn't get a lot of. So in order to keep the prisoners fed and alive, they would feed them vegetarian meals, but they ended up getting stronger. But they never talked about they ended up becoming well and getting stronger because they were already suffering from malnutrition and lack. Because in those camps, they didn't feed the prisoners right. They didn't feed you no good meal, and they considered the fruits and vegetables just bare bones scraps. But before then, they had starved them. And when they started feeding them fruits, vegetables and root foods and stuff like that, they came back alive. They got stronger. They were able to do more work. They were less rowdy prisoners. A whole bunch of things. You know how Germans do. They started instrumenting it into the society. That's how that whole thing came about. That's German.
Now, what about those? Now, what about those who will argue that back in ancient times in Alkebulan, aka Africa, that we basically, let's say a vegetarian diet was something that originated out of certain, tribal situations or different nations or whatnot.
I don't see. That's another thing. See, that's when you run into a difference of opinion. You see, there are differences of opinion when it comes to history, because, in all honesty, do we even really know our history? How can we know our history when we were the originators of this planet? It was originally here. That is a fact. There's no other creature on the planet that's more intelligent of a species than us. So we are the inhabitants of this planet. And one of the most common practices in conquering a land was destroying their records.
Right.
So if in the beginning we don't need real records, who's to say that once they start coming up with these different understandings of how we ate, we had already been here 1,000,000 years or 10,000 years or however long.
Right, exactly.
See, so what I do is I stay out of the debate. This is where the karma comes in.
Gotcha.
If I inflict my belief system or my way of life onto you, project that onto you to pressure you to be a certain type of way, then I receive that same karma, that same fate of somebody doing the same thing to me. So I just deliver information. You see what I'm saying? I give the information and allow the man to make the decision that's best for him.
Exactly.
You know, and I've always kept an open mind with everything because I was vegetarian. I was vegan. I did keto. I did low carb. I did everything in the book for time, not for
time.
Weeks.
No, for real, I'm with you, brother. I'm talking about. I know. You couldn't tell me, but you know, you sometimes you got to unlearn some things, man. And you got to. I find that my body is my best teacher. My body will inform me of what's needed. My body, my cravings will tell me what's lacking. You know what I'm saying? My lack of cravings will tell me what's imbalanced now.
That's right.
You know, different things. So I'm like, understanding the physiological makeup and the components of my body. And again, I got to give you credit for that in some aspects, just opening me up to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Let me look at the science of how my body works now.
That's right.
I'm so now about my lymphatic system. I'm so about moving waste out. I'm so about making sure that, and honestly, I implement time periods of eating a lot into my life now, because people just eat. No, I implement time periods when I'm hungry, not because I see food, but when I'm hungry. Now, because down, how I metabolize things. I now know how my body metabolizes, how it works, what it's going to do such and such, so I don't get gaseous no more.
Right.
There's this vegetable, certain vegetables used to have me so, flatulent, it was ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So I understand how this works a little bit better, man. And it just creates more interest in me studying it more and more. And I like to impart this information to my people who they're so stuck on that one way of thinking. They thinking that veganism, a lot of people think veganism is connected to knowledge of self or having God by, you know what I'm saying, or some crazy notion, and it's ridiculous, you know what I'm saying, on so many levels, man. I done seen fat vegans, I done seen obese vegans. Let me tell you,
this is what I leave people with, and I just allow people to make their own decision, right? So whenever people get on that kick, and I've been saying this for at least the last 10 years. You've heard me say this several times.
For sure.
If I know the plants are your energy source and you are my ancient enemy, why would I leave the plants alone? Why would I allow you to continue to feed your temple when I know that I am inferior to you in all ways when you consume these things? Why would I not manipulate them? Why would I just leave them as such? Because it does me a disservice and my people a disservice, whereas if you ever wake up and decide that I'm the enemy, then I don't have a way to quell you at all. So why, if I know the plants are your source, why would I not touch the plants?
Exactly. If I know that sunlight is in the plant, why would I not dim that light? Why would I not alter that?
People think GMO just started. Man, they've been GMO plants since 1912, man.
Exactly.
They have been doing this for so long. It just became an ethic. It became an ethic problem. They was lacking ethics when it comes to the actual information. They've been doing this for a long time, man. They've been altering you for a very long time, and this is another thing they get you with. They know that as carbon people, sugar is carbon. Come from the canes. We know that cane sugar is energy. Difference between white sugar, they take the molasses out, right? Pure energy. Energy is designed to be used. The brain only uses glucose. It only uses sugar. people go on these sugarless diets, their brains start to die.
They get foggy. They get brain fog.
They say, well, I'm detoxing. You're not detoxing. The brain is telling you that I have a problem. I have a metabolic energy source problem. You need sugar. This is the reason why fruit is fructose. It is sugar. It is a sugar with a balance of fiber to keep the insulin low, yet to be converted to the brain, to make sure the brain has energy. You see, the second problem people run into, they don't want to consume the fruit whole. They want the fruit juice, which then the insulin goes up and then it crashes. Do 15 years of their life, the cell stops taking the sugar as energy. Now you got insulin floating in the blood, and somebody told you type 2. I mean, these things are so easy to fix because what you did, you don't put the minerals back and you keep doing this stuff, but you're not repairing the organ. Organs need the minerals.
That's right. That's right.
You're not repairing the organs. The body can't prepare the organs. The liver is ran down. You don't have channels of elimination. All these metabolic issues start to happen and they start compounding over and over until they get worse. The body creates a workaround. It's just like a river that creates a tributary. The body wants to live, so it's going to always create a workaround. It'll create a workaround until it can't no more.
And that's where the problem comes into play.
And once that fungus that you done created in the body, find a source of blood, it becomes a tumor.
That's right. That's right.
So
or cancer or something very malignant that now you have to go to their medicine.
That's right.
Their table for that. Right. It's crazy, man. Hey, man, we could go on, man, with this. I mean, man, you know, me and you, we love building, man. And I'm definitely in the near time, I need you to come back on, and we need to just devote a segment to weight and weight control, because I deal with a lot of people that they really need this information, man. They really need to know that some of the things that they may be doing are actually working against them, and it's not really getting them in health. It's actually decreasing their health on so many levels. I mean, we got to understand that really it's about balance on finding. That's, and even in spirituality, when one meditates, you're seeking balance. It's my art all day, and that's all it's about, balance. You know, nothing in overconsumption. That's where I'm at. I don't do anything, you know, in overconsumption. You know, and I find that everything tends to work on a very melodic level. But with that, you know, on that, man, I mean, just let the viewers know, like, you know, where they can get in touch with you, your social media platforms, anything you may have going on, so you know people can stay in touch and connected with you, man.
No doubt, man. I am the FormRunna. That's THE_FormRunna, and you can catch me on Instagram. I'm mostly on Instagram. I don't do too much Facebook. I don't do too much Twitter. Most of my information is on Instagram. I'm the only FormRunna on YouTube. And if you see more than one, they both me. I got locked out of one of my accounts. And YouTube has closed 2 of my accounts before for disseminating information. I had a couple of Instagrams closed for disseminating information, so I have to be very, very careful about what I say. One of the things that I did was I had Bell's palsy, paralyzed in the face. I fixed it myself. My grandmother with food only, no pharmaceuticals, only food. Fixed it myself, and I gave that testimonial, and YouTube closed my page. So now I have to be careful about what I say that's outside of the norm. But yeah, you come to my Instagram, you can message me anytime. YouTube, I'm not too active on YouTube. I only do interviews here, but I shall start in the future, because now I see that there's a need for what I call a common sense approach.
That's right.
Healing the body.
That's right.
Making sure that you're the best possible you. But I appreciate y'all for tuning in for your boy, man. Y'all know what it is early. Never late.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, my brother, and definitely. And I want to just, to the viewers, I appreciate you all all of you who are tuning in and stay the entire hour and some more minutes with us. Just, you know, just seeing what my brother had to offer. And I hope you're taking this information not only to mind, but to heart, and applying this information, because there's so much more that could come from this. But and I promise to bring my man on to really just give y'all some more for real.
Love y'all too, bro.
Because you know, and again, I want to give a shout out to my family, which is the New Order National Human Rights Organization under the awesome leadership of my man Jared Emerson Rose, who I send a strong salute. I am the incomparable Red Fidel. Also, I am the National Chief Strategist of the New Order National Human Rights Organization. And I want to give a shout out to my man Knowledge Born Allah for providing us with a platform,
Knowledge
Radio, for being able to bring this news to you. So we're signing out. Peace and blessings. And you can reach me on my social media sites as well. Red Fidel at Instagram, also Twitter, and also Facebook. And also get that album. The Coronation is out. RedFidel.bandcamp.com. RedFidel.bandcamp.com. Adult contemporary hip hop at your finest.
Right.
Peace and blessings, y'all. One.